right. Hello, 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 everyone that is tuning in. This is the Mojo Designer Spotlight featuring Jjb Beads. And I'm just gonna give this a minute here to let people kind of settle in. The Designer Spotlight is a very, very special treat for our viewers where you're going to be able to view designers creating with each of the brands involved in the Mojo Bead Show. Today's brand is Jjb Beads. I am your host, Sarah James, and you will be very, very excited to meet. Not only do we have one designer, but we have three that are going to be creating today in a sort of bead-along design challenge, Jjb Design Challenge, design on the fly. Create a project using all the same sets of beads. So give me just a second while I share this over to the Mojo group and we will get this party started. Designer Spotlight. Awesome. I see we've got some friends tuning in. I will be watching the comments here on the Jjb Beads page. Marisol says, happy Friday. Happy Friday indeed. Tina says, yay, I caught the beginning. Amazing. Hi, everyone, and welcome. It is with great honor and pleasure to be here amongst these amazing designing talents. I am Sarah James from Jjb Beads. We have here Randee Brown from Thunderhorse Descendant, Jem Hawkes from Jem's Beadbox, and Wendy Whitman from Bead on a Wire. Hi, ladies.
Hi.
Hello. Hello. Okay, so let me just scoot this over so I can still view our comments. Just doing a little technical scooching and scoshing here. Awesome. Yes. All right, we've got some friends tuning in. We've got Rosanna Bradford and Jennifer Gammon. Lois saying great group of people. Linda says hello. Lois, I could not agree with you more. So, okay, we're at the Mojo Bead Show and all of the brands have different events that we are doing. So for one, we have the Mojo Design Mashup that happened on Wednesday, where all of the designers from the different brands were given the same box of beads to work with. Jjb Beads put a set together, Leather Cord put a collaboration of leather, bead along with their supplies, etc., sent out to all the designers to be able to create their interpretations with the same lot of stuff. So Jjb Beads thought for our turn at Designer Spotlight, why not pull together three of our fabulous designers, content creators, educators, ambassadors, and be able to see these three different interpretations of the same set of beads. Much like the Bead Along Design Challenge that we'll be watching next Friday, this is our version of that happening today live for you. So I'd like to welcome my designers here again. Jjb Beads works with educators on the weekly basis. We have got Jem Hawkes, amazing, coming in from the UK, teaching every Thursday. Randee Brown has been every other Friday on the Jjb channel at 3 p.m. And Wendy has an amazing YouTube following of 10,000 plus people now that are watching her create with all different sorts of beads, and Jjb Beads just happens to be one of them there. We're looking forward to doing more with Wendy in the next upcoming months. So guys, I would love the chance to introduce you all. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what working with Jjb Beads means to you. Randee, kick us off.
Hello, party people. Welcome to Friday. I am Randee for Thunderhorse Descendant, and I have been beading for what seems like a million years. And when I came across Jjb Beads, I absolutely love, number one, the colors. I love the colors. And I know that Jjb does a lot of in-house dyeing and making it all personalized, which is something that I really like for my company for being unique. And so that's one of the reasons that I love to work with Jjb, but also you get a strand of beads that are different because that's kind of my that's kind of my forte. I like them all to be a little bit different. So I was actually searching for that in other places. Like, how do I get this one strand where I don't have to buy 18 different packs of stuff? And I found Jesse James, and it's just been hearts ever since.
Thanks so much, Randee. We love that too. We were just talking, one of our gal Kelly over in customer service was saying that she and her mom were saying how there's nothing like Jesse James beads out there. There's nothing like a Jesse James beads mix. And that's something that we are always striving to, like you at Thunderhorse Descendant, always be unique. So thanks for coming on board with us today, Randee.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yay! Jem Hawkes is logging in all the way from the United Kingdom across the pond. Jem, say hello. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So my name is Jem. I've been making jewelry for about 11 years now. For the last 7 years, I've been working primarily with wire and beads, obviously, because why wouldn't you? Agreeing with absolutely everything that Randee said about having all of those different pieces on one strand or in one box. For me, when I open a box or when I unwrap a strand, it's inspiration immediately. I know almost instantaneously that there is a design in there that I want to get cracking with straight away. And if you're suffering a little bit with, what am I going to do? I've got the design. We all get the megrims sometimes. I know no matter what strand or bead box I pick out of Jesse James beads, there's going to be an instant spark for me. And that for me is absolutely amazing. The quality is beautiful, the colors are beautiful, but every single bead is going to speak to me. And, you know, I can't tell you enough as a creative how much that means to me. And it's spectacularly lucky to be involved. So thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh, Jem, your words are just warming my soul so much. And Jem is an incredible wire artist who takes the Jesse James beads and puts them up with amazing wire, bead-along wire. And you can watch Jem every week on Jesse James Beads channel here on Facebook at 4 p.m. And then of course we always post to the Jesse James Beads blog. It's a great place to get inspiration from everyone that you're seeing here, actually. Next on our amazing, talented gamut here is Wendy Whitman. Wendy, welcome.
Thank you. So I'm Wendy from A Bead on a Wire Jewelry, and I've been making jewelry for about 10 years now. I was first introduced to Jesse James beads, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago, and just fell in love, like the other girl said, with the uniqueness. I felt like every strand, when you cut the wire on the strand and everything falls off, it's almost like opening a little treasure box. You get all these unique beads, you get bead caps, you get crystals, you get wooden things. I mean, I just felt like it was such a variety and a unique variety too. And like Jem said, every single strand I find inspiration. There are other beads that I've worked with where I have to sit, where I have to look somewhere else and try to figure out, you know, where to find the inspiration. But the minute I cut the end off that strand and all those little beads fall off, I'm always inspired. So yeah, thanks for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Gosh, you betcha. Thanks. You guys are awesome. I'm so thrilled to be able to spend, you know, the better portion of an hour with you three and with all of our fans that are tuning in right here. So without further ado, let's flip our cameras down to the mat. Randee is going to share with us what each of the designers were given, and then we're just going to go kind of round robin. I'll spotlight your videos, and we can see what each designer is working on and see what we can do in the next 45 minutes here.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to spotlight to Randee first.
Randee's trying to get it figured out, you know. Let me just do a little zoom here.
And then feel free, Wendy and Jem, to go ahead and get cracking. You can get started. Wendy, we can turn your, if you want to turn your matte camera on, and then I'll spotlight you when it's time.
It's on. I think you have to invite me, don't you?
Maybe.
Yeah, I think you do.
There we go.
Yeah, there we go.
All right, Randee. So what are we working with here? We've got 3 strands. There's some chain. There's some bead mixes.
Yes. So we have got my understanding is all of us got these same components. So what we have right here is the aqua and French blue strand. We have raspberry sherbet and amethyst orchid. And then my favorite, internal sunshine.
You and me both. We are two yellow sisters. I'm telling you, Randee, I love that yellow too.
We got two of the chain reactions, and with this will be like a clear. And then our mixes, we got Ocean. So I was super excited about Ocean. And then Lily. So that is what they look like.
So just a little disclosure on this one. Yvette from Beadalon put together this really amazing color palette of like Mexico Fiesta Tucson inspired colors. And it was very like serape, Mexican blanket, vibrant, colorful. So that's what our inspiration was behind this whole set of beads, like rainbow, but bright with red and roses and floralness to it. So that's where this came from, just to give you guys a little bit of a backstory.
So we got a beautiful tencha bead, double-sided, and the flowers, the little rose flowers. I just love those. And that is what we got on the mat. That's what we're going to be working with today.
Cool. All right. So yeah, guys, feel free to get on going with designing, and then we'll just pop around and chat. You can tell us what you're making.
All righty. I'm going to scoot out just a little bit here.
So Randee is opening up the Color Trends Ocean Bead Mix, which is one of my favorites.
Yes, Ocean.
Same. I absolutely love the Ocean mix. It's gorgeous.
Well, Randy's got a plan. I'm going all in with everything.
I love that. That was like, I was hoping that there would be someone that took all of the bead colors and just made them into one whole piece. I'm excited to see where your head's going with this one.
Well, that's where we're going. I almost kind of feel bad when I cut the strand.
Don't feel bad. I was about to say those beads don't have feelings, but I'm just kidding. I feel like they're like they've got little souls. They want to be free. They want to be new beads.
They want to be something spectacular. I always just feel like, oh, it's so pretty on the strand, but then I just cut it.
Beads want to be loved.
Yeah, they want to be having some kind of spectacular life.
I really love that because we were just we did the behind the scenes with Jesse James just earlier today, and everyone that tuned in, and you can of course watch the replay, got to meet Stacy, who's our lead designer for creating our bead mixes and our mixed bead strands. And we were talking about how amazing it is, how fulfilling it is to see the beads come from like our love on this end, and then they get a whole new version of love when they come to their forever home, their designer home, and they get turned into a piece of jewelry. So it's really a very all heart, as we say at Jesse James, experience.
It's true. You take your beads and you add a little bit of inspiration, and then you add a whole lot of love.
Absolutely.
So Jem, I see I've just spotlighted your video. I see you've got some beads going on. Is this hardwire?
I'm using for this section, I'm using the 18 gauge craft artistic wire in a really beautiful color that came through in tarnish resistant brass. And it's not a colorway I've worked with before, but it teamed so beautifully with the aqua and French blue that I had to put them together. And what often happens when I'm working with a piece of inspiration like this is I know where I want my focal to be, and how could I not use this as my focal? It's like Morocco, it's like an azure ocean, It's absolutely stunning, a really beautiful piece. There's my focal, but every show has a chorus, and I cannot think of a finer chorus than this strand. So I'm going to be super symmetrical today. I'm going to have 2 little sections of the chorus either side. I'm going to thread on some beads onto the hard wire. I'm going to add a little bit of fiber chain on either end to extend that comfortably around the neck. And then I'm going to come up with something for this absolute stunner of a bead. The glitter on it's crazy.
I know.
But also these little, essentially they're bead caps. They are so beautiful. It is like a Moroccan market or something. It's gorgeous.
Those beads we lovingly call as our boho beads, which really fits in perfectly with how you feel that they look like a Moroccan market. They are, they're actually made of polymer clay, which fits in really nicely with Sculpey, one of our other vendors that's part of the Mojo bead show.
Yeah.
And we've designed our own boho beads when we go to visit our facilities overseas. But now we just picked up some clay at the craft store yesterday, and we've got all kinds of really cool embellishments, and we're designing our own boho beads here in-house in the US.
Absolutely amazing.
So stay tuned, everyone.
Yeah, I genuinely can't wait to see how that comes to fruition. It's going to be stunning. It's going to be stunning. So for this part, really, I'm taking a look at what beads that I can use to create a sense of symmetry. Some pieces I want to go completely crazy and have a totally asymmetric look. But for my chorus line today, I want to create in symmetry. And I love that we get these little, I don't know what material they are. It feels almost like rubber. So I think they're a really beautiful contrast to the high shine that you get with the faceted crystals. And I will always use them. I even keep the stopper bead and use that in my designs as well. Nothing is wasted in this house. So I'm going to continue to create the 2 chorus lines, and then I'm going to, I've already had a little bit of an idea to frame up that design.
Awesome. Wow, it's so cool to see all of your mats and see everybody working. This is awesome. I love it. Okay, I'm gonna flip over to Wendy real quick here because I love what she's creating with this fringe chain. Wendy, are you ready for me?
Well, I'm having issues with this phone. I don't know why it will not flip down to the bead mat for some reason.
Well, I see the bead mat right now. It just looks like it's a little upside down, but I think it's okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
I say we just run with it, Wendy.
All right, let's run with it because I've been flopping it around here and having issues. So I don't know.
I saw that, but I think it's okay. This is fine.
Okay. All right. So I'm actually using the chain reaction, and I cut this chain reaction. Of course, it comes like this in the whole strand.
Yeah, it's 18 inches.
Right. Yeah, it's a lot. And so I started here on the end and just cut a very small piece. I wanted this pointed part to dangle down. And then I just went and I took the next piece, if you can see, and just cut like this. And I just went all the way going longer and longer and longer. And we're making a fringe here with the chain reaction. And then just putting the beads in the middle. So it's going to be kind of like a focal piece, the fringe is.
That's so cool. Okay, so you do a piece of chain and then a bead.
Yes, because if you do the chain all side by side, it tends to just scrunch up so much that you can't really see. When you space it out with the beads, it gives it just that little bit of space in between each chain piece and just makes it dangle and hang prettier. So
our viewers are loving this. Jennifer Gammon says, awesome, Wendy. And I agree with Geraldine. It totally looks like a waterfall.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
Okay, so something interesting I want to point out here, guys. Do you see what Wendy is doing towards the center of her fringe piece? There's a long piece and then a shorter one, and then a long one and a shorter one to kind of break it up.
Yes.
That looks really cool.
Yeah, I didn't want, I went longer in the middle at first and then just a little shorter and a little shorter and coming up, but it just looked better. I thought, like you said, it kind of breaks it up and just gives it a little bit of a staggered look. So yeah, I like that a little bit better as well.
And like everything fringe, if you ask me, I like love it.
I'm so obsessed with tassel and fringe lately. Anybody that watches my YouTube channel knows I'm obsessed with tassels, but the fringe lately has really been, has really caught my interest too. So I thought it would be so pretty with the chain.
I feel like fringe is going to be like the next tassel trend. Not that fringe has ever like really gone anywhere, but I feel like we could like move into, you know, it's like, it's almost like an unpeeled tassel fringe is.
Right. Right. It's just, and it does turn out to look like a waterfall. A lot of times I've found that with different things, but this crystal and silver chain, I think is just absolutely beautiful.
Do you know what's really cool is to see the chain used in a different way, because typically you see chain and it's just like, okay, this goes on the back of my neck, right? Well, like maybe chain deserves its time in the sun. It could be a focal piece too. Look at that. It looks gorgeous.
Absolutely. Yeah. Focal piece.
Love it. Let's go pop over to Randee and see what she's doing. Maureen Gagan says, I am fringe. I love it. I love it, Maureen.
Hello.
Hi, Randee.
How is it going?
It's going good. What do we got cooking here?
Well, I went through my beads and I just picked out colors that I was drawn to. So I got my colors in different little cups over here. I'm not quite sure how that's all going to go down, but those are the colors that I really felt drawn to. The yellow, of course.
Yeah.
And then I thought, well, I'm going to use, so I'm right here, I'm using 20 gauge beadle-on wire and in gold. And I picked out all of my gold findings. So I'm going to try to attempt to make a really cool heart pendant with this messy wire wrap, and then we'll move on from there.
So what's really unique about this, the three of us, or the four of us rather, sat together last night just to test our cameras and, you know, say hello and whatnot. And Randee's wire wrap is very messy, organic, bohemian. And Jem's wire wrap, which we'll show you in just a minute, is very neat and precise. It's really cool seeing these two different styles.
I said that's an interpretation of our life.
Promise you, my life is very messy. I promise you.
You know, and it's funny with my wire wrapping that I do, and I definitely consider myself a novice, though I have learned so much from both of you, Randee and Jem, about wire working. Jem, it hasn't been until I started really watching your videos that I learned how to do a wire wrap loop that was not messy. So thank you.
It is something that takes a little bit of practice to get used to, but making that wire warm is key to absolutely everything. Now, because I warmed this wire that's creating the focal section first, I've made it slightly too large, but because I warmed it first, it means I can just nibble away slightly and change where those collar sections sit. So it's always worth taking the extra moment to get that super tidy.
Let's take a second to see Jem, what Jem is talking about. Hi, Jem.
So there we go. I've created a little circular frame for a focal center to this exquisite boho bead. And I've just kind of made some little loops, and I can show you very, very quickly how that occurs. So I've taken some of the 20 gauge wire for this section, and I'm just going to pop my round pliers in and just turn them and create another loop, move along that a little bit, create another loop. And you can be a lot more precise and get them sitting super neat and tidy. But it's a really useful experiment in learning to handle your wire. And it's a really useful feature. You can add a little bit of curvature in there, very, very gently, just moving that around. And you can add this to enhance around the outside of a frame, make something a little bit more interesting. You can also use those loops to add your little dangly charms off the bottom as well. So everything can become completely unique. Every time you make it, you could make the same thing 100 times, add a different dangle, and it's a completely different looking piece of jewelry. And when you've got all the choices that you get with the Jessie James beads, strands and tubs, then you can't go wrong. They're absolutely gorgeous, all of those different pieces. So I've threaded the boho bead up the center, and at the top here I'm just going to do a little bit of figure-of-8 wrapping. So I wound my loopy form around the outside of my circular form, and I'm just going to draw that together. It's a little bit messy. We could make this tidier if we wanted to. And I've wrapped that 3 times on one of those shoulders to cross over, to wrap 3 times on the other shoulder. Now it's a little bit of a piglet to hold on to get that first wrap going. But around it goes. That's 1 and 2 and 3. And because I'm working instead of 26 gauge, we've worked with 24 gauge for this piece. It's a little bit firmer. What that means is you can be a little bit more brutal with that wire. So I'm going to continue all the way up to create a nice drop section. And then I'm going to draw that loop section around just to bring it all together and make it look a little bit tidier. So I shall continue with that.
And I love what you said about how you can attach beads to the drops of this frame that you're making. And if you're a maker who's reselling and you want, you know, quick, like a project idea that you can repeat but have it look different in your booth or in your Etsy shop, this sort of style that Jem is creating would really have that ticket.
It absolutely does. And that's where you can create a name for yourself. Randee talked about uniqueness and originality, and I'm sure Wendy feels the same. My whole brand grew with boutique unique. I mean, sure, you can go to your Fifth Avenue stores and you can spend a ton of money on something that 20,000 other people have, or you can appreciate the beauty of uniqueness and have something that only you can have.
And how special to bring up that sentiment, especially going into the holiday season, and the holiday maker season is definitely full on right now, to be able to make a gift for your loved one or purchase something that's been handmade that is truly a unique gift that's been made from the heart. That's so very special.
Most definitely.
Goes pop down over here and see what Miss Wendy Whitman is cooking up.
All right, well, I've just finished with the fringe here, and I've continued to bead up the sides. A lot of times I like to use just one bead cap on a bead. I know that sounds so strange, but I like to do that, where I like to put one backwards and then one forward and make like a little cupped look with the beads, kind of like, I'll do it right here.
Yeah, can you flip this around so that we can see it right side up? So it'd just be upside down for you for a second.
Yes, absolutely. It's kind of hard. I don't know what's wrong with the camera. It worked fine last night, so.
It really did. We did troubleshoot this, but that's okay.
Yes, we sure did. And my tech support is not here today, unfortunately.
Oh man, tech support. Okay, the hubs, the boyfriend, girlfriend, the dog.
Yeah, whatever, you know. So let me scoot this over. So here we go. So I am just going to take a bead cap. I like to do this. I don't know why. It's a weird thing, but I like to put the bead cap on and then the bead. And then I like to immediately do another one back to back with that one. Ooh. So like this. I just think it kind of gives it a cool little textured look, maybe.
Yes.
And then we use a little crystal in here. So if you can see, it gives it just a little, I don't know, it makes just kind of a little textured look. Probably everybody does that, but it's just a thing I love to do. So.
Motor Crafts, this is the Crystal Casanova chain reaction. And we've had some interest in this one this past week. So I think that it might be out on the website, but we definitely have more. So if you miss out on Crystal Casanova chain reaction from the Jessie James Beads site, we will get you restocked for next week. If you love Chain Reaction, or if you've never played with it before and want to try, one of the best dealios we have on our site for our retail shoppers is the Chain Reaction bundle. We pick the colors for you, but it's always like a really nice spectrum, and you get a little bit of a deal on it too.
We love a deal.
Get a little bit of a deal. Woo, so neat. What is happening now, Wendy?
So I'm going to take the Chain Reaction now, and it's already got a little loop on the end here where this bead, this crystal bead is right on the end, and I'm just hanging it right on. This is Beadalon. This is Beadalon 7-strand beading wire.
Okay.
And I'm just going to hang the chain. I'm going to make sure that I kind of find the middle here, and I'm going to cut this little loop off right here and hang it right from the chain to give this a double strand look.
I love that.
I'm just going to cut this one right off.
And thanks for pointing out that you're working with Beadalon also. So, you know, the whole point of the Beadalon, if the whole idea behind the Mojo Bead Show, manufacturers of jewelry supplies and other stuff, was to show how nice our brand's products work together. Like the Jesse James beads makes the Beadalon wire come to life. The Tierra cast metals add that really beautiful layering and special boutique, cool artist design metal factor. Dakota stones are the best stones that you can get out there, in my opinion. We've got Leather Cord USA, super high quality leathers, Impress Art to stamp your own personal jewelry and gifts for each other. And then also now Sculpey to design your own components using polymer clay. I mean, it's really cool, each brand individual, but we are even stronger when we come together, and you can create such unique personal jewelry projects, especially when you use items from all of these different brands.
I didn't know you were working with Sculpey now, though. That's amazing.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
So excited.
Well, my jewelry piece is in my bag over there. Maybe I'll get it out. So fun to work with the Sculpey Clay. And it's like, to be able to work with, they have this new liquid polymer. You could do sparkly inclusion, which is what I chose for mine. And it works so beautifully with the Jesse James beads. Like, I feel like we're a match made in heaven, and it's one that I never would have thought of, because the Sculpey aisle, the polymer clay aisle, is nowhere near the jewelry aisle in the craft store. It was so cool to bring us together here for the Mojo. Whoever's idea was that in Mojo, hats off to you.
Sarah, you got to go to all the sections in the craft store.
Yeah, and then I have to start at 8 o'clock in the morning or 10 when they leave, and just be there all day long. Randee, let's check in with you.
All right, here we are. So this is the beginning ring of my pendant. So what I did is I took the Beadalon form. I actually used the handle to put that on there to frame up my 20 gauge Beadalon wire. And then I am using just a little pattern of the Jesse James beads from the Ocean collection here, because I thought that those are going to look great with that guy.
Eek, I love it so much.
So the next order of business is getting him in there, and just looking at it, I'm thinking I might have to grab up some 20 gauge and a little 22 gauge. You know, I love to live in the 22 gauge.
That's a great question to ask. So what's your favorite gauge of wire? Randee likes 22.
Oh yeah.
I have to say that after creating all the projects for the Mojo mashup, I was working with 20 gauge a lot. And though I used to like 22, I think I've graduated to 20 gauge.
Well, this is 20 gauge, and you can see how it makes it, like, it can affect your design and make it look more chunky and like more unique. Whereas I was looking at Jem's where I don't know what size she's using, but you can see that it's also her technique, but probably the wire size, and makes it look more neat.
So I'm using 3 different gauges for the piece I'm working on right now. My main frame is made with 18 gauge for strength. And then I'm filling in with the 24 gauge, which is slightly heavier than my normal infill. But for the loop section, I wanted to use the 20 gauge because it's just strong enough, but also you can get nice smooth loops with it without struggling. You absolutely can with the 18 gauge. 18 gauge is my favorite wire. If I have to have one, that would be the one because I can do most things with it.
We're gearing up to announce our second ever winter themed, holiday themed camp. We got camp this summer. And in December, we are going to be having the JJB Winter Workshop. And there will be wire working classes and CP classes and stringing classes, all wrapped up into 1 week of fun with a little, you know, holiday excitement, get us geared up for the season. And I know Jem and Wyatt, who will also be on board, love working with that 18 gauge wire. So it's always great to be able to have more of private lessons with our fabulous instructors and be able to learn how to wrangle this really thick gauged wire. That's going to be a lot of fun.
There is a certain element of wrangling to it.
Okay, Randee, so I see you wrapped the one end on the bottom. Is that right? Added a spacer bead.
Yep. Well, it's actually a bead cap down here.
Oh, okay.
I'm using that as a little pedestal to set my heart on so that I can fill up this space because I don't want this to move when it's inside of there. I want it to look like it's all kind of one piece. And this is the focal point of the necklace. So I kind of want it to be sitting pretty good. So I'm going to add actually another bead cap on the top here and see if that works out, which it looks like it's going to. And then the cool thing too about the wire is that if you got to have a little, you know, little smidge, you can pull it and get a little smidge.
I love the terms that we use in making jewelry. We come up with our own little squishes and swooshes.
Yeah.
They're the best. And it's so organic, you know, because when you're, at least I feel like it must be, I don't think that you guys are sitting back there coming up with these funny words, you know, in the downtime, but it's when you're teaching and educating and it's like, well, the just does a schmoozy bop, you know?
A little smidge, just a little, don't you toot half a smidge, sometimes half a smidge.
Yeah.
A smidge.
Sometimes it's only half a smidge.
A smidge.
A smear.
Oh my gosh, you guys, this is so fun. All right, I am going to flip over to Jem, and I'm just going to give you guys a quick word of warning that we are at 12:42 right now, and there is another Mojo event happening at 1, so we got a hard stop.
So what I've done so far is I've suspended my focal boho bead with a couple of bead caps in and up through the center of my circular form. I've created a little bit of a neck. I've done a wrapped loop on one side, and that's where my chorus beads are going to join into. So that will form part of the necklace in a little moment or two. And I'm creating whatever pattern I really want to hold the outer, which was the 20 gauge, to the inner, which was the 18 gauge. So for this one, I've decided to wrap twice either side of the loop, and then just around the outside section. It gives it a nice machined, almost nautical look. And the colorway is absolutely perfect. The tarnish resistant brass is gorgeous to work with, never worked with it. So once I've wrapped around both of them, I'm then going to just open that out slightly and then finish off with a couple of wraps just around that last individual outer piece. If it gets feisty, you can just tell it what to do because you would have warmed it first. So literally at the last hurdle on this central focal, I'm going to flip him over and just trim that away. That's gone on the floor, happy days. I'll remember to stand on that later. So there's my central focal piece. It's a true story. It's going to happen. I have to tell you, of course, that one of my dogs is called Mojo. So he's wondering right now what's happening.
Oh.
gosh, that is amazing.
So if I just very, very quickly finish this wrapped loop on the bottom here, it's quite a tiny one. And what I would do is just slide that into my completed wrapped loop, flip the design over, and you can see how that's all going to come together. Now, when you're adding a wrapped loop to what will become a wrapped loop, it can get a tiny bit fiddly, but it's 100% worth it because you get complete security in your design. So I'm holding on to that loop there so I can just chase the little tail all the way around. If you weren't comfortable, you could absolutely use a beading thread with a crimp and a crimp cover at this stage, but I'm just going to ensure that that's nice and tight before trimming away the excess. And I don't have any bead crimp covers with me, but I do want to share an insider tip with you. If you end up that you've got too much space on a stretch of wire work, or indeed if you were to use beading thread, you've underestimated how much wire you need. So you've got a gap. You don't need to put a crimp on because it's too late. You can just close an empty crimp bead cover into that space and it will look like you designed it that way. So I've saved numerous pieces of jewelry in that exact same way. So for me, I'm on the home straight now. I'm going to finish doing my wrapped loops, connect those together, and I've got a little bit of beautiful fiber chain left over, which I would use to go around the back of the neck. You could obviously use another strand of beads if you wanted to, but they don't take long when you have that level of inspiration in just one strand. And I just fell in love with the color. I mean, why wouldn't I?
Beautiful. Oh my gosh. Jem, that is fabulous. Fabulous.
Thank you, darling.
And I've just popped a link in here for you guys to the Jessie James Beads blog. If you are feeling so inspired by these designers and you want to see more Jessie James Beads inspiration, please do go to the blog. Save it to your bookmarks on your browser and come check back often because there is new design inspiration coming from all three of these powerhouses and beyond, actually. That lands there every week, multiple times throughout the month.
And it's a joy to be a part of it. So thank you for having me.
Thanks. It's just so wonderful to see so many talented creators. And not only do we have our design educators, we also have brand ambassadors at Jessie James Beads. We've got a troop of 43 right now. We have requirements to become a brand ambassador. You have to have so many followers to make the cut. But when you do, you receive a packet of fun from Jessie James Beads every month and requirements for what to do to post to keep your ambassador status. So it's been really cool when you search the hashtag JJB ambassador to see what our amazing tribe of creatives have making with the beads of the month.
Do you know, it's funny that you use the word tribe because this does feel like a belonging. And I love that. You know, because I'm over here in the UK, I'm kind of distant from you all physically, but you do feel like family, and that's a real big thing for me. I love it.
You know, and that's something cool that that the pandemic has done for us. It's totally a silver lining that we have been able, or we've been forced to connect with each other via online and virtual communication, but along with having to communicate with those that are typically close to us virtually, we've extended that network out to the people that are far away. So though we didn't get to have Bead Fest in the summertime 2 years ago, we had JJB Summer Camp, and that brought together campers from all across the world.
Yeah, summer camp was super fun.
And again, a pleasure and an honor to be a part of.
Yes, absolutely.
Wendy, this is looking so cool.
I'm about to finish, I think. I'm so glad you didn't flip back over on me while I was crimping, because crimping and I have a love-hate relationship, just like me and the camera apparently are having. But I am just attaching a toggle. And I have just taken the bead-along stringing wire and crimped it right here. So I strung up a little, I attached this chain, strung up a little bit, crimped right here. And I'm like, Jem, I did not put a crimp cover on there, but you certainly could if you wanted to. And then I took the rest of the chain reaction and just attached it here with the wire guard, the wire guardian, attached it with a jump ring. And that's what I'm doing here on the other side. I'm attaching a toggle.
I am in love with what you did on the on the top layer of your double layer necklace with that little beautiful teal drop. How cute is that?
Well, I had this one piece, this one crystal left from the chain reaction, and I thought, oh, make a perfect little drop down there. So yeah, we want to use every bit of it. It's so pretty.
100%, no beads left behind.
Yes, that's exactly right.
You know, and that's funny that you mentioned no beads left behind, because something that Randee had told me that on her channel, Thunderhorse Descendant, her fans had asked her, friends, Thunderhorse community had asked Randee, hey, how about if you use up all of the beads in that bead mix?
Yeah, that's one of our goals. We're always trying to use all the beads, no bead left behind.
Oh man,
I feel like it's kind of, you know, they're with their friends, you know, they're with their friends. They're in that little case that the magicians pack over there at the JJB house. You can never get them back in there, right? Because they put so much in there. It's like, how did they do this?
You know, so correct.
So it's like, okay, well, we gotta let's just use them all with their friends. They obviously like each other. Let's just carry on with that.
It's always a sympathetic blend of colors. Even when you have something really quite bright in a bead mix, everything goes with everything else. And that's an eye for color that not everybody possesses. So it's a great skill.
You know, we have really grown leaps and bounds as a company, and the products that we create. We started doing our bead mixes and our mixed bead strands in 2011. And it's, wow, that's a 10-year anniversary since we've been doing bead mixes and strands like this. That is insane. We should be shouting this to the rooftops. But they have grown so much. Our design has gotten so articulate. Before we just had color palettes, and now we're following trends. We're researching what's upcoming for the next year. We're dyeing beads. We're designing our own beads. We're coming up with different themes that evoke emotion. You know, and we're collaborating with other brands in our industry, like here at the Mojo Bead Show. It's so cool.
Amazing. I think it's very interesting that you dye your own beads.
Yeah, and not all of them, but some of them, like the Pantone line, which will be coming soon.
Oh.
And all that, a beautiful chain. We just launched this enamel chain, and I wish we would have had it. I wish we would have had the chain before we did. I wish we would have had the chain in stock before we did the Mojo Bead Show, because I would have loved to put that in the hands of all the designers here. But you can see it online at jessijamesbeads.com. It's this enamel metal chain, and we dip dye it back there in the old dye department here in the Jessie James warehouse. Sorry if it's a little noisy, by the way. But yeah, that's a little teaser of the Pantone colors that are coming out. So if you're curious about what's going to be popping for fall winter 2021 2022, you can definitely see those colors in chain format at the Jessie James website.
Wow.
Randee, you are getting compliments out the wazoo. Geraldine says this piece could fit, be worn on almost every outfit. I agree. I agree. And that you have such a wonderful eye for blending colors, says Kathy.
Thank you. I really wanted to go, my whole purpose with this was I wanted to do the red and yellow, and we got a lot of beautiful colors, but when I saw the red and yellow, I was like, okay, I got to get that going on.
I love it. And I feel like red and yellow is one color palette that I know that I personally shy away from because I'm afraid of ketchup mustard. Like not that I'm afraid of ketchup mustard.
Clearly not me.
It looks great, and I love being able to push ourselves out of our own comfort zones, you know, to try something that's different. And each one of these designers, Wendy Whitman, Randee Brown, and Jem Hawkes, you are all certainly very, very unique.
Thank you.
Thank
Jennifer
you.
says, sorry, I don't mean to be talking too much. Jennifer says that it's so awesome to see how everyone is creating something so different with all different things. So I'm just gonna run through all of you guys' spotlight real quick as you're finishing up here. We've got Wendy Whitman with this beautiful double strand necklace. Fringe waterfall. Wendy, everyone, and I don't know if you can see the comments from where you're at, but I've been watching them roll through, and everyone is just so gaga over this waterfall made with chain.
Thank you. It's the chain. It's beautiful. And this right here, see that little, that's the extent of my wire wrapping. It's a loop. That's it. So
Right.
Jem and Randee are awesome with their wire wrapping. I
Well,
admire them so much.
Do you know what's really cool is that beautiful jewelry making, beautiful jewelry doesn't have to be hard.
It doesn't. No, 100%.
Really cool beads, and just like the desire to make something unique and make something your own. You can string up a beautiful piece of jewelry. Wendy, I love this. Great job.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
And then next, let's go on over here to Miss Jem.
So we just by the skin of our teeth arrived at the station. Phew. So you don't have to have a huge amount of experience. You don't have to make great big massive heady pendants to make headway with wire in jewelry. It's something that I would encourage everybody to have a go with. A reel of wire in a non-precious metal is a small investment, but if you, the only thing that you ever do is create your own loops or your own clasps, it's a really cool skill to have in addition to your own eye for design, form and color. So I feel like this is a very aqua-toned piece, but the color combination with the anti-tarnish brass is just so beautiful, and it's almost nautical. It could be like a sailor's steering wheel. What do they call those things on boats? It's not a steering wheel, is it?
It's a helm.
It's a helm. That makes much more sense than steering wheel.
When you're at the helm, you're steering.
Yeah, that makes much more sense. But I mean, you do you.
For whoever can call it out. It's gorgeous, Jem. I love it. You've done such a wonderful job. Ah, so pretty. And then last but most certainly not least, we have got, we've got Randee Brown's piece. Look at this array of color.
It's stunning, Randee.
Beautiful.
Well, we got her done. As you can see, I wish you could put me and Jem next to each other on the screen so you could see that I'm very messy.
There's beauty in organicness. There really is.
I feel like we can do it. Hold on one second. Oopsie daisies.
Let's
do a gallery view and hide me. And now we can see all three pieces.
Can we?
Yeah.
I gotta go over. Hold on. I gotta. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So as you can see, this is how Randee lives her life. It's just kind of a mess, but it looks okay from far away. No, I really loved these colors, and I just want to, can I bring these other colors in here just to show the versatility of the Jessie James beads? So if you were very much a pink, purple, teal person, you got this whole other project to do. I just went in and picked out my favorite beads from all those things and got a completely different colorway.
I do love the orchid strand that you're showing to the side of your piece as well. It's one of my favorites. The orchid colors are stunning.
Pink and purple should be pretty.
Amethyst orchid.
That's the one, yeah.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous, glorious.
But we all made some super spectacular, amazing stuff. Very different, I have to say. I was like, oh, I wonder how that's gonna go.
And you guys pop your faces back up so we can say goodbye to everyone.
Okay.
Just need to make the computer work. Let's see. Hello.
Oh gosh, such a treat. My heavens. So I just need to say a big thank you to Mojo for putting this group on. We've all worked so hard to create such a cool experience here. Beyond that, thank you everyone from the Jesse James community that has been tuning in and watching this amazing education that's put out by Jesse James Beads and the other Mojo vendors every single week. And for the biggest thanks of all goes to you three for coming today to share your time, your energy, your design panache, and a little bit of education with everyone that's watching and with us here at Jesse James Beads. You make our beads look so good. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thanks for having us.
All right, without further ado, there's more stuff going on in the Mojo 2 group. Randee Brown will be live here on Jesse James Beads on Facebook at 3 p.m. Eastern. So lots and lots of stuff going on today. I'll see you in the comments over on Randee's live here at JJB. And other than that, from us to you, have a wonderful weekend. Keep it creative, everyone.
Bye.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.